Greetings, Black family. I am your lecturer today, Sister Ebony Stevenson. Today, my lecture is about Kwanzaa traditions. As we come up on the holidays that's celebrated this week, i.e., Christmas, I'm going to talk about the origin of Kwanzaa. I'm going to discuss some of the Kwanzaa principles, and then I'm going to share some videos of some Kwanzaa celebrations locally here in Chicago. We have two big celebrations that typically happen, one at Chicago State University and one at Malcolm X College. So I'll be sharing some footage of those Kwanzaa celebrations. So I'm going to start off first by doing our opening. In the name of the eternal divine spirit, the one that causes all that exists to exist, the one that is self-existent, the one who directs the sonships of millions and trillions of years, and the one who made time the seed of the universe, known among the ancient Kemites or Egyptians as Amun-Ra and Aten, among the Hebrews as Antav, Yahweh, and Elohim, among the Christians as Lord, God, and Jehovah, among the Muslims and Islamic world as Allah, the one God, among the Rastafarians as Jah Rastafari, among the Yoruba tribes of West Africa as Olodumare, Eshu, and many other Orisha gods. I bear witness that all of these names refer to the same one, eternal divine spirit, and it is to that essence whom I give reverence and to whom I submit. I boldly proclaim that we, the descendants of those Black men and women who survived the transatlantic slave trade, are the lost 13 tribe, born here in North America, and are of a Nubian Kemetic lineage. The blood of all the nations of the earth flow through our veins. I greet you in the ancient yet holy words of peace, Hotep, Shalom, Assalamu alaikum, Habaragani, Alafia, and Ashe. Ashe, Black family, welcome to the Toma Nations Sunday worship service located here in the Grand Crossing community of Chicago, Illinois at 616 East 71st Street. Come and be fed by God's messengers. As I said in the intro, today my lecture is going to be about Kwanzaa traditions. Now, why is it important for us to talk about Kwanzaa traditions? So when we get into the question of, if I were to ask you, what are the Black holidays? What would you say? Would you say, I don't know, Juneteenth is one that pops up, right? What's another Black holiday? We kind of observe the whole February as Black History Month. It's not really a holiday, but we observe Black History Month. What else is a holiday that's ours? And when I say ours, I mean those of us who are descendants of those who survived the transatlantic slave trade, who live in America. What are the holidays that belong to Black people? Because when we talk about our history in this country, we know that from the moment we set upon these shores, that America has been about crushing our culture, crushing our cultural identity, and anything that we held dear. America was about destroying it, the destruction of the Black family, the destruction of our moral values, right? This is the bane in existence of America, because America wants us to be on the bottom always. And when we talk about the importance of Kwanzaa, it's not just that the holiday was created and there's these 7 days and 7 principles, and and there's these symbols for Kwanzaa. Kwanzaa is an important holiday for Black Americans here in the United States because it's something that's ours. It's something that's ours. It's not something that we have to share. Oh, we celebrated Independence Day, or oh, we celebrated Mother's Day, or these other things. It's something that belongs to us. It's just like how Latinos have Hispanic Heritage Month, or they have Cinco de Mayo, or these other holidays that belong to them. Well, why is it important for us to have something that belongs to us? You got to think about that. As we move into 2025, and as this country continues to go down the tubes, and we move into this new regime change, why is it so important for us to hold on to our identity as Black Americans? Why is it so important for us to hold on to our identity as the 13th tribe living here in North America? You got to ask yourself that. And so everything I said could be a lecture on its own. So I'm going to get into the history of Kwanzaa. And then also, if you're watching live, if you would like more information about Kwanzaa or about Potomac Nation, feel free to drop us a comment in the chat if you're watching live on Facebook or YouTube. Okay, I'm going to share a video first about Kwanzaa. Give me 1 second. All right, let me share my screen.
Kwanzaa is important to us first. Let's take them. Umoja, unity. It's the first principle, not by accident. It starts with practicing unity in the family, community, nation, and race. Now, and by extension, then the world also, right? But who can deny the importance of unity as a fundamental principle? To feel at one with and in the world, and to begin in your own family and with your own people. And people who don't love themselves and their family and their people can't make an argument for loving abstract strangers. Second, self-determination. To define ourselves, name ourselves, create for ourselves, and speak for ourselves. It's immoral to deny people the right to define themselves, to name themselves. As we used to say in the movement, enslaved people and pets are named by their masters, but free people name themselves. And third, Ujima, collective working responsibility. This cooperative to build and maintain our community together and to make our sisters and brothers' problems our problem and to solve them together. Who can deny the importance of that? I could go on down the principles, but you see that Kwanzaa has both a particular message for us, but it has a message also for this country and the world. And certainly if we go down to Ujamaa, which is shared work and wealth, to build and maintain our own stores, shops and other businesses and to profit from them together. It teaches what? Shared work and wealth. We can't have such obscene division between those that have and those that have not. Near purpose, to make our collective vocation, the building and developing of our community in order to restore our people to their traditional greatness. Kumba creativity. That's what the sixth principle is. And listen how beautiful it is. To do all that we can in the way that we can in order to leave our community more beautiful and beneficial than we inherit. Self-explanatory. And finally, Imani, faith. To believe with all our heart in our people, our parents, our teachers, our leaders, and the righteousness and victory of our struggle. That, to me, is a message that it would be hard to reject if you're moral, progressive, and want the best for each people and the whole of humanity and the world itself. The well-being of the world is at stake here, and I think these principles speak to it.
All right. That was a small video excerpt for Dr. Karinga, one of the founders of Kwanzaa, going over the principles of Kwanzaa. I just wanted to share that video as an introduction. And a lot of people, when we talk about Kwanzaa, even when I was searching for some videos to play, you know, everyone has their own opinions about Kwanzaa. Some of us celebrate it, some of us don't. But the thing that I want us to get away from is we have got to stop, being in our feelings about the founders or the people that create things that are good for our community and focus on the end product, the results. So it doesn't matter how you feel about Dr. Karenga or your views or any of that. The results is Kwanzaa. Kwanzaa is the end product. And Kwanzaa is such a great value for our community because it teaches us moral principles. Each day is a moral principle that all Black families should be practicing. It focuses on the family. It focuses on the community. And as we live in a country that's so focused on profit and individuality, right? That everything is about me, I. When you look at a tradition or a holiday such as Kwanzaa, and the whole essence of Kwanzaa is about the family, and it's about community, and it's about unity, like Dr. Karanga was just saying. And so that is in opposition to what we see every day. And it's something that we have got to get into the practice of observing or celebrating regularly as Black people, here in America. And so I'm going to read this little excerpt that talks about Kwanzaa. So Kwanzaa is an African American holiday which celebrates family, community, and culture. It was created in 1966 by Dr. Karenga, a professor of Africana Studies. It is a 7-day cultural festival. It begins on December 26th and ends on January 1st. So those of you who observe Christmas and you're celebrating Christmas on December 25th, that don't mean that the next day you can't turn around and get your Kwanzaa on. You have no excuse. And it goes all the way up until January 1st. It focuses on the communitarian community values and practices of continental African and African American culture. During this holiday, families and communities organize activities around the Nguzo Saba, which are the 7 principles. And those are Umoja, Kujijakalia, Ujima, Ujima, Nia, Kaumba, and Imani. Participants also celebrate with feasts, which are called Karamu, music, dance, and poetry, narratives, and end the holiday with the day dedicated to the reflection and recommitment to the 7 principles and other central cultural values. So you see, it's not just, all fun and dance. It's observing these principles of moral righteousness, and at the end, showing your recommitment to those principles, your recommitment to your family, your recommitment to your community. Now I'm going to go over a little bit about the Nguzo Saba. So when we talk about the first day of Kwanzaa, which is Umoja, unity, to strive for and maintain unity in the family, community, nation, and race. Umoja is the first foundational principle of the Nguzo Saba. Unity is both a principle and practice of togetherness in all things good and of mutual benefit. It is a principle in harmonious togetherness, not simply a being together. This is why value rootedness is so important, even indispensable. Unity as principled and harmonious togetherness is a cardinal virtue of both classical and general African societies. In ancient Egypt, harmony was a cardinal virtue of my rightness. In fact, one of the ways to translate ma'at is to define it as harmony. Harmony on the natural, cosmic, and social level. Thus, in both ancient Egyptian and Dinka society, one cannot live a moral life without living in harmony with other members of the community. Let me repeat that. One cannot live a moral life without living in harmony with other members of the community. How awesome is that? Are you living a moral life? Are you living in harmony with your family? Are you living with harmony with members of your community? If unity is in essence a principle, it is no less a practice as are all the other principles. For practice is central to African ethics, and all claims to ethical living and commitment to moral principles are tested, improved, or disproved in relations with others. Relations, then, are the hinge on which morality turns, the ground on which it rises or falls. In this regard, we can refer back to the discussion on character development through ethical instruction. Character development is not simply to create a good person abstracted from community, but rather a person in positive interaction, a person whose quality of relations with others is defined first of all by a principled and harmonious togetherness. For example, a real and practice unity. A real and practice unity. Does that not sound amazing? It sounds amazing to me. Do you not think that we need umoja in our community? Do we not need unity in our community as we move into 2025 and we look at Black communities across this country, across this world? Do you not think that umoja, that a unity is an essential foundation to success? And when we talk about that unity, once again, we're also talking about family unity. Unity as a principle in practice begins with family. Adults and children must respect and approach unity as a moral principle of family and community, not simply a political slogan. Intergenerational unity. Finally, the family must be, as in African culture, the focal point of unity, not simply of siblings and of genders, but also of generations. Intergenerational unity. How is it so important for us to have intergenerational unity? We see it every day in our community. The elders don't get along with the young people. The young people don't get along with the elders. There's all of this intergenerational warfare going on in households and in our communities. And so when you talk about unity, intergenerational unity is a part of that, coming together regardless of age. We're coming together regardless of when you were born. Because we know that the makeup of a truly, so when we here in Toma, when we talk about building God's kingdom on earth, when we talk about, building a nation has intergenerational unity. And moving on to the next one is community unity. And one starts with the family when discussing unity, the community, local and national, becomes the next level of concern. And the practice of unity is very important. So that is our first day, our first principle of Kwanzaa, which is umoja, which means unity. Now, continuing with the Nguzo Saba, for those of you who are watching us live on Facebook or YouTube, or those of you who are live here in person, what is the second day of Kwanzaa, or the second principle of Kwanzaa? Anybody know? Kujijakalia, which means self-determination. To define ourselves, name ourselves, create for ourselves, and speak for ourselves. How important is it for us to be able to define, name, and create and speak for ourselves when we live in a world where everybody wants to speak for us? When you look at social media, or when you look at the news, or you look at any kind of media, when they're talking about, well, oh, Black Americans think like this, Black Americans act like this, Black Americans do this. Some of those people don't even be us. They're defining us, they're naming us, they're creating for us, and they're speaking for us. And Kujichagulia is the opportunity for us to reclaim that, reclaim our identities, reclaim ourselves, and get back to self-determination. And so when we talk about self-determination, it demands that we as a people define, defend, and develop ourselves instead of allowing or encouraging others to do this for us. It talks about defining identity. The first act of a free people is to shape its own world in its own image and interest. And it is a statement about their conception of self and commitment to self-determination. What's another part of self-determination? Cultural groundedness. The principle of self-determination carries within it the assumption that we have both the right and responsibility to exist as a people, that we have the right and responsibility to exist as a people and make our own unique contribution to the forward flow of human history. And that is the second day, or the second principle of Kwanzaa, which is Kujichagulia, self-determination. So now I'm going to go into the third day, or the third principle of Kwanzaa. Does anybody know? Ujima, collective work and responsibility. To build and maintain our community together and make our brothers and sisters' problems our problems, and to solve them together. Wow. Collective work and responsibility. How important is collective work and responsibility? It is a commitment to active and informed togetherness on matters of common interest. It is also recognition and respect for the fact that without collective work and struggle, progress is impossible and liberation is unthinkable. Wow. All of us who talk about, the liberation of Black people here in America, the liberation of Black people abroad. But when you talk about this principle of collective work and responsibility, that you can't have the liberation of a people without collective work and struggle. The principle of Ujima supports the fundamental assumption that African is not just an identity, but also a destiny and duty, for example, a responsibility. This is something that we say in our lectures all the time. Here, as 13th tribe born here in North America, that we have a duty and responsibility. We have a duty and responsibility to this earth. We have a duty and responsibility to this planet. As we talk about moving into this cycle of time where what is on the bottom is rising to the top, one of the reasons why Black people in America keep taking these L's is because we won't move into our destiny and take responsibility for the duty and responsibility that we have for this planet. And that's a whole nother lecture within itself. But if you have any questions or comments about what I'm saying, and you would like more information, feel free to drop a comment live on Facebook or YouTube, or you can shoot us a text message at 773-846-3091. In other words, our collective identity in the long run is a collective future. A collective future. Thus, there is a need and obligation for us as self-conscious and committed people to shape our future with our own minds and hands and share its hardships and benefits together. That's very powerful. And that goes about what I said, when we let so many things divide us, it doesn't matter what you feel about the person who founded Kwanzaa. You should be focused about what does Kwanzaa bring to us as a community? What does Kwanzaa bring to us as Black people? And this is so important when we have become so absorbed and the identity of white America, when we've become so absorbed in the identity of our oppressors, when we become so absorbed in the identity of the same people who don't believe that we have a right to exist, how important is it for us to have this roadmap, this plan for community unity? I think it's very important. I believe all of us here at Toma Nation would say it's very important. But is it important to you at home, Black family? Is it important to you in your communities? This is something that you have to make that decision for yourself. And if you would like more information about Kwanzaa, it's Googleable. If you don't want to get the information from us, go on Google, check out the official Kwanzaa website. I think the website is officialkwanzaawebsite.org. You know, there's a bunch of videos on YouTube about Kwanzaa. And don't listen to the negative ones. Look at the origin of Kwanzaa. Look at our people celebrating their cultural identity. All of these Kwanzaa celebrations that happen. Look at those things. Focus on the positive. Everything can be negative based off someone's perspective, but focus on the positive and how these principles of moral righteousness are so important to us as we move it into 2025 in this time of unrest on this planet. In addition, when you talk about this concept of Ujima, collective work and responsibility, you talk about active cooperation. In the context of communitarian social order, cooperation is another key aspect of Ujima. It is also based on the assumption that what one does to benefit others is at the same time a benefit to him or her. And the challenge of culture and history, finally, collective work and responsibility can be seen in terms of the challenge of culture and history. Work, both personal and collective, is truly at the center of history and culture. It's 12:57. I got so many left to go. Like I said, if you would like more information on Kwanzaa, you can feel free to reach out to us. Drop us a comment live on Facebook or YouTube. And you can also Google it yourself. There is a website, officialkwanzaawebsite.org. It has so many great things. I'm going to go into the fourth principle of Kwanzaa, and then I'm going to get ready to close us out. And the fourth principle of Kwanzaa, I've been trying to make sure that I pronounce these principles right. So somebody correct me if I don't pronounce it right. Ujama? Okay. Shared work, wealth, and good in the world. Wow. Shared work, wealth, and good in the world. And what does that mean? Cooperative economics. Wow. How important is it as a people to have cooperative economics? We can go in any neighborhood, whether it's the Chinese community, the Korean community, the Arab community, the Latino community. And what are they practicing? Hardcore. Cooperative economics. They're circulating their dollars among their shops and stores and businesses, right? They're circulating those dollars. But what are we doing as Black people in America? Our dollars don't circulate. We get paid, the money goes out of the community. It goes to one of the many businesses in the community that's owned by people who don't look like us, who don't live in our community. Our money is feeding them. Our money is clothing them. Our money is paying the mortgage of our enemies. Our dollars are sending their kids to college. Our dollars are sending them on vacation. Our dollars are doing everything for everybody else except for us. And because we don't practice cooperative economics in our community to the extent that it needs to be practiced, this is why our communities are in such a state of disrepair, because we've gotten so accustomed to depending on everybody and everybody else. And this, when I be trying to make statements, I be trying not to be offensive to people, but in this white savior mentality that we have, that we feel like somebody is going to drop on a parachute down into our community and save us. And we know that that's not going to happen. We have got to take responsibility for the state of our own communities. We can't depend on the government to save us. We can't depend on nonprofits to save us. We can't depend on anybody to save us but us. And part of that is cooperative economics, to build and maintain our own stores, our own shops and other businesses, and to profit from them together. Shared work and wealth, economic self-reliance. That is a huge principle of this. Self-reliance in the building, strengthening, and controlling of the economics of our own community. Economics is the greatest form of warfare. If we don't control our own economics, then what are we doing? We're waiting on the government to feed us. We're waiting on the government to house us. We're waiting on the government to employ us. Is that a sustainable existence? You can look at the history of Black people in America to see that that is not a sustainable existence. Also, a part of this is obligation of generosity. It's the stress and obligation of generosity, especially to the poor and vulnerable. Once again, it's about giving back. So I know my time is at hand. I had so much. So like I said, if you would like to get more information about Kwanzaa or anything else that I discussed, do feel free to contact us. And what I'm going to do is that I'm going to close out with this slideshow of some of these photos from a Kwanzaa event at Malcolm X. Thank you so much for joining us, Black family. We will see you next Sunday. And like I said, if you have any questions, shoot us a text message at 773-846-3091.
When I think of Kwanzaa time, I think about my family, how we all come together and celebrate our ancestry. 7 days and 7 candles, 7 principles to guide us. We are a community, Harambe, Harambe, Harambe. We are a community, Harambe. The red, black, and the green. The red, black, and the green are more than just some colors. They represent our dreams. So as we pour libation, as we offer up our praise, we are a community Harambe, Harambe, Harambe. We are a community Harambe, Harambe, Harambe. We are a community Harambe. We believe in family, we believe in community. We all share the bonds of a common ancestry. We're children of Africa, we're children of God. We are a community, Harambe, Harambe, Harambe. We are a around.